Are you afraid that you may go to your grave with the pain that you are feeling? Maybe you've tried everything and it hasn't worked. And maybe even that pain has gotten worse and you are left hopeless. I can understand because I used to feel the exact same way. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my story and my 5-step healing process to effectively beginning that journey to transform your pain into your greatest point of power. So it was October 21st, 2011, and I was walking into the dance studio experiencing a level 10 pain in my womb. At this point, I had been experiencing this pain and this level of pain in my body for many years. It was hard to sit, it was hard to stand, it was hard to just exist in my body. And at that point, I had seen many doctors, I had tried many different holistic healing modalities, and it helped a little bit, but I was still left with so much pain in my body. And for years before that, I had tried to numb the pain with drugs, with alcohol, but it just got worse. So I made a decision to finally listen to the pain because honestly, I had no other choice. At that point in my life, I was doing deep emotional inner healing work to try to make sense of it, to try to heal myself. And I was a part of a group called the Inner Yoga. And one of our processes was to dialogue with the pain, to go through a process of letting my pain speak to me. And at this time in my life, I was in school for dance, and this was part of my healing journey. This was part of my reclamation. And one of the dance teachers that I was working with in a choreographic process invited us to make a dance and create a dance about something in our lives. And so I chose to make a dance about my womb pain, to allow this pain to speak through the movements of my body. And so as I dropped into my body and let the pain begin to speak through me, it felt like 10,000 knives stabbing into my womb and into my whole pelvic region. And I'm not exaggerating. As I went deeper into this pain, I knew that it was connected to a violent sexual trauma that I'd had years before. And as I fully let myself go into this memory and how that felt in my body, my whole body began shaking and convulsing. Every muscle seized up and contracted, and I couldn't breathe. As I let my body move in these ways that it wanted to move, I realized that I was beginning to liberate this trauma from within me. And each time I practiced and performed this dance piece, the pain, both physically and emotionally, became less and less. Because honestly, this pain was not just physical. It was, of course, obviously emotional and spiritual and on every level of my being, because as I went deeper in unraveling this pain, I realized it was this grief of a loss of innocence that I had experienced that was connected to even earlier experiences of sexual trauma in my life. And so there were layers to continue to unearth through my movement. But as I did that work of letting my body speak, letting my body express unhindered, letting the pain speak through me. I also began to learn things about my life, about myself, about my body. And this is exactly why I became a certified embodiment and sexuality guide, to help other people transform the pain in their own bodies. And to begin, I'm sharing the 5-step process that I created that greatly assisted me in this transformation of this pain into my greatest source of power, which I now feel. And I hope you can feel that power through me and through my voice right now, that also lives in you, that also lives in the depth of your pain. And the thing that I want to express before we get into the 5 steps is that the pre-step is our consciousness. Because our consciousness and what we believe is so powerful for actually affecting our ability to transform and to heal. If we are holding a belief, a consciousness and a perception of, why did this happen to me? This isn't fair. I'm never going to be able to heal this. I'm always going to have this. These beliefs will block your ability to actually transform that pain into the biggest blessing and gift in your life, which is possible. Because held within every experience of pain is beautiful lessons and teachings about life that can connect you deeper to yourself, can connect you deeper to other people, and connect you deeper to life itself. But we have to approach our pain with a willingness to see it as something that has the possibility to turn into our power, that has the possibility to turn into a blessing in our life. And with that consciousness, we can begin to effectively go through this process. So the first step in the 5-step healing journey is to have compassion for yourself. This is so essential because we have to acknowledge that we went through some fucked up shit. We have to acknowledge that we went through something that was really fucking hard, whatever that was. Being hit, being abused, being raped, being tortured, being lied to, being betrayed, being yelled at, whatever it was, being forgotten, being, abandoned, having your family members die, whatever it is that you've been through. It was fucked up and it was hard. And acknowledging that it was fucked up doesn't mean that it can't always also hold a sacredness to it, that it can't also turn into a blessing. But we have to first acknowledge that it was hard, that it was painful. And honestly, there's some things that there's no explanation for, that you can't explain away, that you can't justify why that happened. But what you can do is be really fucking determined to turn that point of pain into your power, because that's what you can do. You cannot control what you've been through, but you can control how you respond to it. But the first step is to acknowledge that it was hard. I was so passionate about this. I know y'all can feel it. I'm like, ooh, all right. Step number two is I have to laugh to lighten the mood, because I'm like, oh, I'm intense. This is intense. But it's because I care. It's because I had to have that intensity with myself. Because, and you know, for people who've been through chronic pain, because I was in chronic pain for 10 years, when you experience something that's really hard, you have to have that grit. You have to have that grit of like, this is not going to take me down. All right. So the second step is you have to feel it to heal it. And this is not comfortable. It's not a walk in the park. It's not eating an ice cream cone. This is the work. This is the work part where you feel it. You feel all those feelings. And so what this looks like practically is you can actually just take, because what I'm interested, first to rewind, what I'm interested is getting to the root of the pain. Because when we get to the root, that's when we can actually transform. So in order to get to the root of your pain, you can actually take whatever experience is happening in your life right now that is very challenging. Maybe it's a relationship conflict. Maybe it's a job conflict. Maybe it's a physical pain that you're having in your body. Maybe it's a diagnosis. Whatever is happening in your life right now, the key is to take some time and space alone and to sit and say, if I really open up my feelings around this conflict, whatever is happening, this painful thing in my life, when is the first time that I can remember feeling this way? And generally, it's some experience that we've had as a child. And even if the memory is blurry or you don't exactly remember what happened, that doesn't matter. What matters is just to try to go back to the earliest memory that you can feel of feeling that same kind of way. And then in your mind, go back to that little one or that teenager, whenever it was that the memory comes, and just trust it, don't question it. Go back and give permission to that aspect of yourself to really feel what was happening, really feel it in your body, and let your body express it. So this is where you really let your body move, let your body scream. If you want to get angry, have a baseball bat and a pillow, beat on it, or with your fist. If you need to cry, cry. And it can be helpful if you're living with other people to be like, you know what, I'm going through I'm going to do an emotional healing process on myself. Don't call the police. It's okay. I might yell, I might scream. It might sound like somebody's dying. That's what I used to do with my roommates. Like, I'm doing an emotional healing process. It's going to sound like I'm dying. It's okay. Like, I'm good. and really go in and let yourself go there. And then ask that part of yourself. This is step 3. To ask that part of yourself, what did you need that you did not get? And really trust the response. Again, this is an intuitive process. This is not a mental process. This is a heart. This is an emotional process. And so asking that part of yourself, what did you need? Did you really need a hug? Or you really needed to be told that you were loved, that you were cherished, or that you really just needed your mom to be there, or your dad to be there? And you can actually, in your mind, imagine that they were there and recreate that memory and give yourself that which you needed in terms of imagining that it's happening right now, that you're getting that hug, that you're being told you're loved, that you are feeling that feeling of being kept safe, or being taken away from the environment if you needed to be taken away. Just trust whatever it is. Only you know what you needed, and imagine that is happening. And then imagine that, ask that inner part of yourself, what can I give you right now? What do you need right now? And this is where you can really let yourself get creative and really just trust. Like, I need to go for a run. I need to drink some tea and curl up with a blanket. I need to keep yelling and keep screaming. I need to, whatever it is that you need to do. And I used to create my own emotional inner healing processes. And you can even invite, trusted friends or loved ones into this. One of the healing processes I created was like, I needed to just have people put their hands on me and tell me that I was enough. And say, you are enough. So really just trust whatever your inner guidance says that you need. And give yourself that. And when you give yourself that, that's actually what builds an inner sense of trust. Because what happens when we've experienced trauma is that aspects of ourselves, we fragment. These wounded parts fragment, and they can turn into self-sabotaging behaviors, which causes us to not trust ourselves. And so when you do this process, you're actually building back that muscle to trust yourself when you can give yourself what you need. Step 4 is to let whatever that feeling, that experience, that memory is, have a creative voice. So again, like I did in the dance studio, we're like, all right, I'm going to go into this pain and I'm going to let this pain speak through my dance. Or I've also let it speak through my poetry. I've also let it speak through song. And so whatever medium you want to use, take that feeling and say, give it a color, give it a sound, give it a movement, give it some words, give it some kind of expression. This is so empowering because when we do this, it takes this stuck energy that's living on the inside and puts it outside of us and gives it an outlet to actually transform into something else on the outside that actually helps build our confidence, especially if we know how to create in a way that is not trying to be perfect or polished, or is not trying to create something that is for somebody else, but is really just about our own process. When we know how to do that, which I will help you. I'm going to create more videos on that specific process. But for now, just knowing when you do that, when you create from that space that's just about the pure liberation of whatever is inside of you that is painful into a creative medium, that builds a sense of confidence because you can look outside and you say, look what I created. Look at this dance that I created. Look at this song. Look at this poem. And being able to witness yourself in your creativity, in your genius, builds confidence because we are all creators. And there's a deep innate part of us that wants to create. And so when we fulfill that, it builds a sense of confidence and self-esteem. And then it also helps build community and connection because you have something that other people can witness. And maybe they relate. There's so many times that I've heard somebody speak a poem about going through sexual trauma that helped me feel closer to that person, that helped me feel healed on some level in myself by just hearing somebody else's story in a creative way. So don't underestimate also how much impact your creative expression can have on other people in a positive way. And the 5th step in the 5-step healing process, this is the juicy part. This is the yummy part. You did the work. Now you get to focus on what you want to create. So this is the sky's the limit. There's no lid off on what is possible if you really let yourself dream that big of what would I love for my life if there were no limitations on what I could create for myself. What would I want to create? Let yourself vision that, dream that, and then imagine and feel that all of this process that you've been going through is fuel for your fire for that destination that you want to go. Because it is and it can be. Because ultimately all this is life force energy that gets trapped in your body if you don't acknowledge it and you don't move it. But if you acknowledge it and you move it, you liberate that life force energy that can now be directed towards what you want. And so it's a matter of pointing your arrow and saying, and not getting stuck in this process, but saying, where do I want to go? What do I want to create for my life? And what is the next aligned action? What is the next small step that can bring me to that ultimate goal of what I want to create for my life? And that is what I have been able to do in my life. For me at the beginning, before I started my dance journey, I had zero training in dance as a child. Yet it was something that I always loved and that I always felt most at home in myself when I was dancing. And when I was 24, I decided to major in dance as part of this healing process, because I had been going through this pain, and I was asking myself, if I were able to turn this pain into my power, what do I want for my life? And it was to have a professional dance career. And there was a part of me, of course, that didn't believe that was possible. I was late to the game, 24, starting my dance career is too late, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But I just kept going, and I just kept going through this process again and again and again, and transforming that pain and going through it and into what I want, and creating dances that were about me liberating this energy inside of me. And I was able to achieve that professional dance career in San Francisco. And now I'm going right now for the next level of what I see for myself in my dance career. And so this is possible for you. And do this process. If you want to experience me guiding you through this process, you can check out my website, where there is a guided experience of me guiding you through this 5-step process. You can find that there. Don't forget to leave your email, where you can receive discount codes to my online embodiment classes, where you can move with me and experience what I do as an embodiment guide and facilitator real time. I would love to connect with you. I would love to build community with you. Please leave a comment below about the step that you are most excited for. And thank you so much for taking this in. And it is my joy and my deepest gratitude to be offering this, and to know that there are people that are listening, that are watching. So thank you so much for taking the time to take this in. I hope that it serves you greatly in your journey of stepping into your fullest, most vibrant, most radiant, expressed self. So much love to you.